Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm reviewing a pen from Stilform. This is the Stilform ink, and this particular pen that I've actually got in my hands today is the final prototype of the Kickstarter version that's around as this is being filmed in October 2020. A very odd year. Stilform is a German-based company, and they've been wildly successful on Kickstarter. In fact, this particular pen and the various versions of it raised in like an incredible amount of money, like way higher, way quicker than was ever expected. And holding this pen and using this pen for the last little while, I can absolutely see why. Now, I did an unboxing of this pen a couple of weeks ago, and so I thought I would now do the review. I've been using it, I've had a few different inks in it, I've got some thoughts, and see how we go. So I wanted to first show how the pen comes packaged. So it comes in this little box. I did show this in all the unboxing and everything. It's a really nice little box. Simple, elegant, Red Dot Award 2018 winner. That's for design, made in Germany. All the little information sort of you need. Check out the website, it'll link you to things like the Kickstarter and stuff when the pen is available for purchase. Simple drawer, it came with a converter which was in that bag, and then this little pen, little slip, little soft sleeve that the pen sat in, which says creativity begins with a pen. Really nice, simple packaging, nothing extravagant, nothing sort of over the top, exactly what I like. So, but this is the Stilform ink fountain pen. This is the Comet Grey version, and there are a bunch of different colors like the Warp Black, the Night Sky, the Aurora Grey, and the Blue Moon, plus the Titanium Black and Titanium Matte versions, which are a little bit more expensive. What makes this pen interesting? A couple of things. The first thing for me is this magnetic cap. Like, this is a minimalist pen. It's sleek, it's got flat edges, like there's not a lot to it on the outside, but you turn that little cap and it pushes it away. Like, it's hard to tell, of course, on video, but it actually pushes the cap away from the pen. It's got these sort of 4 magnetic points in it that allow you to you know, every time you then cap the pen, like if I try and cap it against its axis, it automatically turns onto its axis. And that's like where it naturally wants to sit, meaning that the facet there always lines up. Like, it might be a couple of degrees off, but like super, super close. There's no threads on this pen, so it's not got something to really like lock into, but it does have those magnetic points which hold it nice and secure. Obviously, given the look of this pen, it doesn't post. Like, not going to happen. There isn't a clip, but there is a clip you can buy, similar to like those Kaweco sport clips that you sort of slip over and it will sit around at the cap, giving it like a chance to be put into pockets and things like that if you desire. It's made of grade 6 aluminium, which is, you know, pretty good quality. It's all German made, and it's just a very, very nice, clean, simple but elegant design. So the features, obviously, the fact that it's got these like facets means that the pen won't roll too far. But it is designed, like if you put it down, it will stay down. If it gets a little bit of momentum up, it'll keep going, of course, but that's like anything. The pen is a standard international cartridge converter pen. As I said, it came with a converter. I currently have the converter is branded with Stilform. I currently have this inked with Monteverde Blueberry Muffin, I think. But I've had a couple of inks in it now. And one thing I will say is that it works particularly well with wetter ink, because it being a Bock nib, and it's a number, like I think it's about a number 6 Bock nib. This is a fine. They do write on the slightly drier side in comparison to a couple of other brands of nibs. On Kickstarter, this pen was like the early bird sort of Kickstarter price was around €65 or $75 US. So I actually think it's pretty good, a pretty good deal. The price, of course, going up when it will go into retail, but that initial Kickstarter price I think is pretty good. And even at a slightly higher price point, I think this is a pretty good pen. You're getting something that's nicely made with a decent nib on it, a pretty decent nib. Like, it's a very good nib. Like, I shouldn't say decent, it's a very good nib. But also, like, a unique and cool design. And in a world of cigar-shaped pens that are acrylic or, you know, turn and stuff, like, it's nice to see a pen that is a little bit different. One of the interesting things about this pen is the fact that there is no glue used in the manufacturing of the pen. They say no plastic. The only plastic on this pen is the feed and the nib housing, right? So everything else, oh, and of course the converter, but everything on the actual pen, like, it's all either one piece or, in the case of the cap, all nice and secured. I can't see, don't kind of how we got to get down in there, but all nice and secured. It's all metal, and even the way the nib housing sits together is really nice. So this sleeve here is what actually screws into the nib housing unit, the plastic unit. So that screws into that, holding it all nice and tight in position. The grip section here is a separate sleeve, which goes over the top of all of that. So it's got a nice engineered way of holding everything nice and secure. I will come back to that a little bit later in the video because it's something just to be a little bit aware of, but yes, all of this pen is manufactured and held together with good engineering and just sort of like really, really solid manufacturing. I should just quickly run over the pen. We've got like a conical plain top. As I said, it's like completely straight from cap to end, and it runs down. It's got these two facets, one on either side. So it's like a circle pen that has been like squared off on two sides. And then the Stilform branding is on the engraved in the end there. It is simple conical end, and as I said, magnetic cap. So there's no threads or anything like that. There is a little step down off the barrel onto the section, but the section is long enough that you shouldn't need to actually be on those at all. And even if you are, it's not a super sharp step down. It's been nice and beveled there, as you can sort of see, just to take a little bit of that edge off. The section is a matte aluminium section, and it does taper quite strongly, but it does have a nice little flare there just on the end, which doesn't get in the way, but stops you from running down onto the nib. As I said, a steel bock nib and a plastic feed. Simple, elegant, as I said, but lots going on. So let's now look at just a simple comparison for size sake with the Lamy Safari. So you can see it's a touch longer than a Lamy Safari, so it's a good size pen. The Lamy Safari does post, which this one doesn't. It has similar rounded edges with the flat surfaces, so it will sit flat. And when uncapped, they're pretty really quite similar length pens, and a good sort of size. As I said, the Safari does post, giving it a little bit of extra length, which the Stilform doesn't. But I don't think you need that with the Stilform. It's a really lovely length pen. There's lots of it sits nicely in the webbing in the hand, and because it's quite lightweight, there's a bit of weight, a little bit more weight in the grip section there, so it does lead nicely, and it is nicely balanced towards the nib. It's just as I said, it's just like a well thought out pen. Let's talk about the specs now. So capped, it's 145 millimeters, and uncapped, it's 138, which, as I said, is a nice length in the hand. It sits back nicely on the webbing of the hand. Obviously, a posted length is pointless here. It just does not post. The grip section runs from about 9 millimeters to about 11 or just over. So it's very, very comfortable width. If you're holding it around the middle there, around that 10 millimeter mark. The weight of the pen is 26 grams, although the writing weight is 17 grams. That's without the cap, and the cap weighs about 9. So it's a nice, comfortable, lightweight pen for easy writing and for quite long writing sessions. Let's do a writing sample now. I have Clairefontaine paper here, and what we have is the Stilform ink. This is a Bock, a steel fine nib. As I said, this particular model is the Comet grey aluminium pen. It's a nice pen. It writes well. The ink here is Monteverde Blueberry Muffin, which comes from the Sweet Life series that they put out a year or so ago. Lovely ink, nice color, not super wet. And as I said, this pen does actually, I think, work well with, you know, sort of nice wetter inks, because there is a little bit of feedback on the nib. Let's just do some writing. So you can hear there is a little touch of feedback there. It's smooth, like it is smooth. Then there's no, you know, there's no sort of catching in the paper or scratchiness or anything like that. But there is feedback. Wetness, I'd say it's fair to medium. Like there are certainly wetter pens on the market, but as I said, I think that's often a trait with Bock nibs. Let's do some reverse writing. It's okay, it's a bit sharp, not scratchy, just a bit sharp. It is a stiff nib, so you are not going to get line variation, and I would not want to push it because I think being just a plain steel nib, it could easily be pushed just that little bit too far. So you can see it writes well, it writes smooth. There's a bit of feedback, but I should just do some fast writing. Like, keeps up perfectly. It's a little sort of much drier on the upstrokes there. But it keeps up, it writes. And, you know, we can talk about the design of a pen as much as we want, but if the pen doesn't write, it's sort of missing its purpose. And this one, I think, is actually very much, you know, hitting its mark. So let's talk some pros and cons now for the Stilform ink. Firstly, let's go with the cons. The feedback on the nib will be unpleasant for some people. I don't find it unpleasant. It's not scratchy, but there is feedback there, and it isn't the wettest nib. You could certainly get it tuned and smoothed out and made nice and wet, but I think it actually writes quite nicely in this, the way it came. Bock make nice nibs, but there is, as I said, a little bit of feedback. The other thing for me is when I got the pen, I put the converter in it, but the nib housing in this grip section, like I'm turning this bit here behind the grip, and that you can see that's where the pen actually, that's where it all connects through. So this little sleeve, as I said, screws onto the end of the nib housing, the plastic nib housing there, and holds it all in place. And then that converter goes in there and is locked into the housing, so giving you like the run into the feed and etc. Okay, so that little sleeve there was not screwed entirely tightly into the nib housing, so there was a problem getting ink from the nib through to the converter. And what happened was like I ended up having to fill it from the converter until I could work out what was going on, because I just literally opened up the pen, you know, that minute, and then I flooded it through and primed the section, was able to write. But once that ran dry, there was a problem in the connection between all the elements. So once I took it apart, I saw what was going on. I tightened it up. It worked beautifully, and it's worked beautifully ever since. As I said, I've had 2 inks in there since. And not had an issue with either of them whatsoever. So now let's talk some pros for the pen. Okay, firstly, love the design. Love the design. It's simple, it's clean, it's very clean, and I think it's quite attractive. I wouldn't say it's like modernistic, but it is nice to see a pen that is doing something different to the majority of pens on the market. I enjoy the packaging. It's simple, it's clean, does everything it needs to do. There's not a whole lot to it, and it's mostly cardboard, so you can recycle it. The durability of this pen. These have been put under huge stress by the company, and they are strong, they are rugged. You will like chip and like scratch the surface and that sort of thing. Of course, it's just basically an anodized aluminium. But the durability of the pen and the strength of the pen is really nice. So with something like that clip, you could make an everyday writer of that, putting it in your pocket, carrying it around without any hesitation. And that magnet is strong. Like, that's not going anywhere. Like, you actually do need to actually put a bit of, you either turn it to push it away, or there is a bit of resistance there to pull the cap off. I really, really like the balance of this pen in my hand. I think it sits very nicely. I still need to line that up properly. Oh, that's all right. It sits very nicely. The weight sits well. The sections are nice shape and design, so it fits well in the hand. It's great for longer writing sessions. It's just a very, very nice, simple pen to use, and that's such a big plus. This pen really grew on me. When I got it, I was like, oh yeah, it's nice. But like, it's just another metal sort of pen, whatever. It's not at all. It's got a great feeling to it. It feels nice. Like, that grip section, while being metallic, isn't slippery at all. And the design of it, the shape, is very, very comfortable. I haven't had a problem with like my fingers slipping around on this at all. So lots and lots of great things about this pen. I actually also think that the price point is a plus. There are lots of pens similar to this that sell for a huge amount more. So I think they're doing a wonderful job, and I'm really glad the Kickstarter was so successful, because a pen like this does absolutely deserve to be on the market. Their earlier pens, and the earlier version even of this pen, were very successful and very well received, and they've made improvements. So it's nice to see a company actually willing to do that. And actually, they sent me this pen for review and for feedback. So they're obviously very keen to be putting out products that are the best possible products that they can get out on the market, and that's super important. So this was the Stilform ink fountain pen, the final prototype for the Kickstarter campaign. And this is the aluminium fountain pen in the Comet Grey finish. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. Please feel free to get in touch using any of the platforms listed below. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at @the_offstage_me, or you can contact me in any of my videos here, or drop me an email, which is listed down below. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you'd like to support the channel by sponsoring a review or providing an item for review, I would love to hear from you. It's your support that makes this channel happen. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.